the nostalgia, everything about Destiny that we grew to love. It was the game that sucked us in and made us come back every day. Today we're taking a trip back in time and looking at things that we miss from Destiny 1. Before we get into it, don't forget that I'm giving away a Final Mouse Cape Town Ultralight 2 at 5,000 subs here on YouTube, so be sure to click that subscribe button and turn on notifications for when videos go live. The tower in D1 was the go-to place. I don't know about any of you, but I wasted a lot of time just sitting in the tower or even idling in orbit. The tower had everything we needed: vendors, vanguards, collections for everything, vaults, items to purchase, and the list goes on. Let's take a look at a few of them. Starting out with the factions. Like in Destiny 2, its predecessor had the same three factions, those being Dead Orbit, Future War Cult, and New Monarchy. Guardians were able to show their support for their favorite factions once per week. You were able to purchase new gear from them weekly and upgrade your rank with your favorite faction. When Destiny 2 reintroduced them, armor and weapons were tied behind an event called Faction Rallies. This event would happen 3 times per DLC and unfortunately was removed from the game. It's been almost 2 years since the last event, and now our 3 NPCs sit in the new tower with absolutely no use at all. The Vanguards once brought us some type of joy as well. Unlike their counterparts in D2 that have little to no relevance, in Destiny 1 they were a small beacon of hope to a player who was leveling up. You could return to your respective Vanguard and purchase gear to help you level up just a little faster. As with the factions, their gear's role would change weekly, allowing you to wait for that perfect piece of tier 12 armor. It's funny to look back at the vault and realize we had 108 slots for weapons, 108 slots for armor, and 72 slots for consumables. And this was after they raised the capacity of the vault. At the time, this was a big deal, though we were always yearning for more space. In D2, we were given more space and part of our collections were placed into the UI of the game. As I mentioned, all of our collections used to be accessible via kiosks. There was one for special events, emblems, and shaders. In Destiny 2, it has been upgraded so that we can access all of these items directly from our menu. One thing that I truly miss about Destiny 1 was the weapons and armor. Sure, we have some unique choices in D2, but when the game first rolled out, we were brought into a limited meta that saw weapons and armor with only one set of perks. Ultimately, this hurt the feel of the game and had the community wondering why Bungie decided to remove random rolls. Luckily, after community feedback was received, Destiny 2 reintroduced random rolls on weapons as well as allowing us to modify our gear with different mods. But nothing will replace the feeling of getting a new piece of armor and having to use motes of light or gain experience from different activities to level up those pieces. I miss the grind of searching for that perfect tier 12 armor piece with a perfect roll. If you've ever played Destiny, then you will know how important the raids were in D1. When the game initially launched and we had a date with our first raid boss in the Vault of Glass, Guardians grinded as hard as they could to get their light level up as much as possible. Leveling at this time was extremely difficult, and like today, was based on RNG drops. The difference between being level 26 and level 27 meant everything when attempting Atheon for the first time, and the level grind continued all the way through the Dark Below and House of Wolves, where we would square off against Crota and Skolas in the Prison of Elders. Many Guardians were left out from these activities if they did not have a Gjallarhorn. After the 2 initial raids and Prison of Elders, we then went on to fight Oryx in the Taken King expansion and the Wrath of the Machine raid during Rise of Iron. Though we currently have it in Destiny 2, strike-specific loot was a major reason to grind out PvE activities in Destiny 1. Weapons such as the Grasp of Malak, Imago Loop, Stolen Will, Scion Flare Cloaks, Darkblade Helm, Devouring Maw, and many others were extremely sought after items for both collectors and PvP players. As the meta of the game changed, so too were the items that were extremely rare and valuable, and could give any Guardian who obtained them a slight advantage over their opponents. Unfortunately, Destiny 2's strike-specific loot and raid loot have been a major disappointment and have given us really no reason to grind those activities as much as we did in D1. Another thing many of us truly miss are super abilities from D1. As players of the game, we felt powerful when we used these unique abilities. When paired with specific exotic armor pieces, these abilities allowed us to do things that we never thought possible. We could solo raid bosses easily, grind nightfalls with a full fire team of Sunsingers, and have a lot of fun with 3 Bubble Titans and Trials of Osiris. In a game of PvP, you could sometimes have your super 3 or 4 times, whereas in Destiny 2, you're lucky to get your super 2 times depending on the playlist you're playing. Just like leveling our weapons and armor, we too had to level up our subclasses, and this was no easy feat at first as it was all based on gaining experience from playing. During the first year of Destiny, a number of weapons rose to the top: Fatebringer, Vision of Confluence, and Song of Uriet. Players who were able to complete the Vault of Glass in Crota's End and later make a flawless run in Trials of Osiris were often rewarded with weapons that not only possessed powerful stats and perks, but also had elemental damage that quickly stripped off enemies' shields and made fast work of enemies during nightfalls with elemental burn modifiers. These are just a few things that I've missed from the original Destiny, and I would love to hear what you miss as well. Let me know in the comments section below, and I'll try to cover it in my next D1 Nostalgia video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.